Hello, hello. I am Coach Cori Sartori. I empower high-achieving women to shift their mindset to grow in their self-love, confidence, and career. Today, I am going to chat with you how I went from letting my ego run the show for many, many years to being a confident person that absolutely loves my life. And the reason that I wanted to share with you this today and talk about how I let my ego run the show and how I had to work towards confidence is because we don't know what we don't know. And for many years, I didn't know that I had an ego. I didn't know that my ego was running my life until I found self-development. And so today I'm going to share my story with you about how I became aware of this and how I shifted this. But before we dive into that, I just want to quickly share with you what the difference is between ego and confidence. So I'm going to quickly read this definition. So to have confidence is to have faith in your own abilities and believe in yourself. But the ego is something else entirely. Unlike confidence, the ego operates out of self-interest. It seeks approval, accolades, and validation at all costs in order to be seen as right. When I read that just hit me because for so many years, that's exactly how I was living my life. I was letting my ego run the show. And so I was a jerk and I wasn't kind and I wasn't the person that I wanted to be because I was looking for validation outside of myself. And so let me start at the beginning. So I was a confident kid. I remember being young and being in my kitchen and telling my family, I'm special. I remember having confidence, but I also remember having people diminish that confidence and take it away from me. And as a kid, I would say I'm special and my family would tease me and make fun of me. And not that they were doing it to hurt me, but it did. And it stopped me from being confident. And I think also as I went into junior high school, right, that age of 12, 13, 14 is so hard. And when I was 13 years old, I transferred from one junior high school to another one. And kids are mean. And I was shy. And so people would say, oh, Cori's a bitch because I was shy. And it eventually became something I said about myself because I started to lose confidence in who I was. And so I just figured well, hey, if everybody else thinks I'm a bitch, then I must be. And I've shared with you in the past that when I was 16 years old, I dated a narcissist. And this was my first experience with a narcissist. I didn't know what a narcissist was, but he didn't like me for who I was. I was very tomboy. And so he didn't like that. He wanted me more feminine. And so he would diminish me and he would tell me that I was wrong and that I should dress this way and be this way. I mean, even on my prom night, my junior prom, I went with him and he was so mean to me and I didn't know why. The entire dance, he just ignored me. And I remember crying. And on the way home, he finally tells me why he was being a jerk to me. It was because I wasn't acting feminine enough. I wasn't being ladylike enough when we were at dinner. And so he just decided to treat me like garbage. And so all of those experiences just really, I lost my confidence. I lost my confidence in that. And so many other situations that I remember, in that time of my life. But from the age of probably, 11 to 18, my confidence just got destroyed. And so probably around the age of 18, 19 is when my ego started taking the show. And so I started doing things for attention. I started acting like a jerk. I was completely, if I'm being honest, I was an asshole. I was a bitch because I treated people poorly because it was a way for me to have people look at me and be like, oh my gosh, she's so confident that she can just say what's on her mind. But it was me just letting my ego run the show. And, when I started my career at 20 years old, I did have confidence in that. I was confident in my career because I was a good people developer. I was really good with developing and teaching and training. And I grew and grew and I became a really powerful leader. And I loved what I did. So I had confidence at work, but the rest of my life, my ego was running the show because I had let other people, take away my value by the way that they treated me. And so I would say negative things about myself for a long time. I was, from the time I was 18, 19, all the way up until I was 31, 32, I just let my ego run the show. And the way that I acted is just I've said to my husband before, I'm like, those people that knew me 20 years ago, that's who they remember. And that sucks. It sucks that that's the person they remember, even the person I was 15 years ago, because I was garbage. I treated people like shit. Any opportunity I could, I would, I'd make a girl cry, and I just was like, thought I was the coolest thing around. And I just was mean. And people would say to me, like, I remember a gal pal that I had years ago said like, oh, well, I always just thought you were confident. And I'm like, that wasn't confidence. Like, that was just my ego running the show. The way that I acted and the way I treated people, like, I was just looking for attention. I was looking outside of myself for approval, for anything. And I look back and all of my relationships were not all of them, but a good 80% of my relationships were toxic and codependent. Not just my romantic relationships, but even my friendships were toxic and codependent and just, not good. I wasn't surrounding myself with people that were bringing me up. We were just pulling each other down. And so I wasn't confident. My ego was what was running the show, and I didn't know this, right? And I've shared with you also in the past, when I was 31 years old is when I left my codependent toxic relationship, but I was still unhappy, right? I thought if I left that situation, I would be happy, but I was not a good person. I wasn't working on myself. I wasn't trying to be a good human being. I was crushing it at my job. It was great there. But in the rest of my life, I just wasn't showing up powerfully. I wasn't taking care of myself physically. I wasn't taking care of myself mentally, emotionally. I just wasn't a good person. And so when I moved back to Salt Lake City, I had just turned 32. And this is where I kind of found self-development. I dipped my toes in it when I was living in California. I'd watched the documentary The Secret, and I was kind of like, ooh, what's this about? Manifestation? Like, okay, I can get into this. But when I moved back to Salt Lake City at 32, I still was very much letting my ego run the show. I remember I came back here without a job because I just was lost. I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. And so I came back to Salt Lake City without a job, and I ended up getting offered a job that I just thought was beneath me because I just, my ego was running the show. But I took it anyways. And I am so grateful I did, because the people that I was surrounded by in those environment were people that were working on themselves. And I came back and I had a really close friend that we'd been friends for years and years and years. And while I was away, she had started doing work on herself, and she introduced me to the book, The 4 Agreements, which if you know me or if you followed me, The 4 Agreements is my absolute favorite all-time book. And she introduced me to Strength Finders. And so those books really added a lot of value into my life. And that's when I started to shift my mindset and was like, okay, there's something here in the self-development. And I started working on my vision and goals. And when I started to achieve these goals that I was setting, that really helped me boost my confidence. And I think one of the biggest things that really shifted me from ego to confidence, and it was something I had to hear, nobody likes feedback. I'm not ooh, fun, but it's what you need to make decisions and make choices and shift your actions or behaviors or whatever. And I remember I was saying, oh, I'm a bitch. And this girl was like, why do you keep saying this about yourself? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you are not a bitch. You are so kind and so loving, and you want to take care of everybody. You're the mom to everybody. You are always so worried about how people are feeling and showing you just care. So stop saying that about yourself. And I was just like, ugh, right. At first I was like, whatever. But as I sat with it, I was like, she's right. I do take care of so many people, and I am so loving, and I am so kind. And I needed to hear that to start shifting into the person that I am today, and to start letting go of my ego. And it was really powerful for me. I will always remember that. And so these were the beginnings of me shifting from ego to confidence. And another thing that I did, the vision and goals was so powerful, because once you start achieving your goals, your confidence builds. You're like, holy, what? I can absolutely do these hard things. And it's just so amazing. One of my goals was to do a yoga teacher training. And so in 2014, the summer of 2014, I did my first yoga teacher training. And I originally did it because I wanted to build my confidence with speaking in front of other people. And that experience was amazing for me, because you're put in this room with 15 other people that you don't know, and you have to start teaching yoga basically in the first or second session. And it pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I think anytime you are pushed out of your comfort zone, it helps you to build your confidence. And when I let my ego run the show, I never was letting myself be pushed out of my comfort zone. I didn't want to be pushed out of my comfort zone, right? My ego was running the show. And so I needed to act like I knew everything. So if I was pushed out of my comfort zone, then I couldn't act that way. And so doing these things really started to help my ego go away, and I started to build my confidence. Another thing that I chose to do was to find a mentor. So the woman who runs the Core Power Yogas out here, we had become connected, and I just loved her light. Like, she is the most amazing person. She is kind, she is happy, she is full of joy, and she gives the most amazing hugs. And I was just not a good person. Like, somebody would try to hug me and I'd be like, ugh, get away from me. Like, I was a snotty brat. And seeing how she was and how the community loved her, I was like, I want that. I want to be like that. And so I started showing up how she showed up. I started acting the way that she acted. I started being really kind and loving and hugging people. And now I will tell you, like, I give amazing hugs. But I needed that mentor, that guy to show me the way, because I didn't know what I was doing when I started self-development, right? That's why I'm a coach, because I don't want other people to have to spend years and years and years figuring out how to make themselves happy when they can hire me, and we can start building that foundation in 6 months. And so, finding that mentor, finding Lisa to guide me and support me, like, it was powerful. I mean, if she hadn't been in my life, I would not have got my dog Astrid. And I think Astrid has taught me a lot of patience and love, and it's another thing that I really needed in my life. So, over all of these experiences, which was over a few years, my ego started to fall away, and I started to step into my power. I started to become the confident person that I knew I could be. I stopped dating men that treated me like crap. I stopped dating men that made me question who I was, because I did that. Like, from the time I was 16 till the time I was 30, probably 3, maybe 33. And, these men would question, like, my hair or the way I dress. And then I would like, oh, am I, like, not good enough? And eventually I just kept working on my confidence. And so, I got to the point, I remember even telling my husband when we were talking about dating, I said to him, I want to get married. I want to have kids. And if you're not on board, I'm not going to waste my time. Like, that was confidence. Telling a guy that you want to get married and have kids, like, on just a conversation of are we going to date or not? Like, that was confidence. And it's because I had spent 3 or 4 years working on myself at that time, and building up and becoming the person I wanted to be. And so, now I can honestly say that my ego is gone. I am confident, and I truly love myself, and I get to show up powerfully in this world. And now I get to share my knowledge with other women, so I can help them become confident, so I can help them love themselves and find their self-worth. Because I think a lot of that is I had lost my self-worth in all of those hard relationships as well. And, junior high school was like the start of it, but then it just got worse and worse and worse, for the next, almost 2 decades. And so I really am grateful that I'm confident now, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be in this amazing marriage with my beautiful son. I wouldn't be running a business that I absolutely love. Like, I love being a coach. I know it's my passion and purpose. And so, I challenge you, if you are struggling with confidence, please reach out to me. Please let me be a support to you. I coach because I've been there. I've been where you are, and I want to support you in healing and growing and stepping into your power. I have 4 spots for my one-on-one coaching program this month. So if you are ready to transform your life, if you are ready to build your self-love, your self-worth, your confidence, maybe you want to grow your career, maybe you need to let go of limiting beliefs that are stopping you from being confident or stopping you from growing in your career, I'm your girl. So please reach out to me, send me a DM with the word program, and I'll give you more information about what I offer, and hopefully we can start working together so I can support you in transforming your life. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being you. I look forward to connecting soon.